What can you tell us about the infrastructure bond since it passed in November? How would you, as a new member of the City Council, use your leadership skills to get those much-needed funds put to good use in our ward?
Which fund?
For the infrastructure bond.
Okay, and this is Chris Torello first.
I already mentioned the $50 million infrastructure bond. They're trying to do another infrastructure bond behind closed doors in City Hall without voter approval. It's going to be a special interest bond that is going to be distributed to people that are in the know and that know people. I want to have a bond, voter approval, with certain money going to different things. Our schools are falling apart. Obviously, we need some help there. Our sidewalks are falling apart, and our roads. We need help there. We have lead in our water. We need replacement pipes for Providence Water. We need to do the water, and as we're doing the water, we're replacing the sidewalks, getting the lead out of the water, replacing pipes, and we're doing it in an efficient manner. Thank you.
Well, I want to make sure that our ward gets at least our fair share of the money. Like they were saying, that right now it's behind closed doors. They're trying to use that we voted a few years back ago to approve the bond, saying that, oh, it's going to be the same bond, even though that one failed. And right now they're doing it under us. One thing I want to point out about bonds, if you actually ever look into it, we end up spending about almost double of what the bond is. So we may be trying to borrow $50 million, but in the end of the term, we're going to be paying back about $100 million, which affects your taxes. But we need to make sure that money goes to the schools, to the sidewalks, to our roads, and also to the community groups that help our children and through special education. But we need to make sure, I want to make sure, I'm not going to say no, I'm not going to take anything less than our share of the money, but we also need to make sure that everybody's, throughout the city, is getting their share of the money. But that's something I would also bring to the community and let everybody know this is what I'm doing, this is what I want your input on, and say we're going to be happy with this, because that's one of the part of the deals of me wanting an office in the city, or in our ward, is to make sure that you know what's going on and what I'm fighting for you. Thank you.
So I think one of the challenges that a city council person faces when each of us represents a ward, as opposed to being at large, like you see in some cities where you represent the whole city, is this kind of pull and push between what's good for the city as in the whole, in the short term, medium term, long term, and what's good for your own ward. And both of those things are things that a city council person has to think about. And sometimes a city council person has to think about the citywide issue and the long-term one, even at perhaps his or her own political expense locally. My understanding of why the money didn't get spent was that they essentially couldn't agree, the city council could not agree on how much would be parceled out to each different ward versus how many decisions might be made to spend the money at a broader level. My opinion about this is that I think if we have money to spend on infrastructure, there has to be a kind of rational planning process at the citywide level that the council has to push and be involved in to make sure that we're dealing with things at the citywide level that we need. So lead pipes would certainly be one, public schools would be another. Now, of course, there are sidewalk issues everywhere. But if each city council person gets their little piece of the pie and doles it out, there are going to be an awful lot of big collective issues we're never really going to deal with. That may not be the most efficient way to spend the money. It may not also be what people want to hear their city council person say about their own ward. But part of being a city council person is being honest, like not just honest, like not lying, but honest, being, forthright. Thank you.
I do think there were a couple of city council people who actually advocated for city council to come together to work with the mayor to prioritize what infrastructure needed to be, issues around infrastructure needed to be addressed first. And yes, it's not just a ward issue, but it's a citywide issue. And the issues might vary. Yes, the sidewalks are a major issue. Our school buildings are falling apart. So I think what's important is City Council working with the mayor to prioritize and to have long-term goals, not just goals for the next elections, but 20-year goals, and to figure out what is a priority, how do we address this issue, but at the city level and not just the ward level. And I do think that it's important for the city council person to advocate for their individual ward, but the bigger picture is the city of Providence.